Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So we are approaching the DC Fandome event, and this is something where, if you ask me if I was kind of excited and looking forward to it, I'll tell you actually no. And the reason is because a lot of what's going to be showcased at the Fandome event, I honestly don't care at all. And that's just me. I guess, we already have seen a lot of different things even get revealed before the event. We've seen the, animated Justice League movies and a lot of things that are coming out. IGN had already been doing previews and showing them, including other Warner Brothers channels across the internet. So it's not like a lot of those things are going to be really new to me. And then when it comes to the movies, I guess the Batman movie is something a lot of people are probably looking forward to. But again, to be honest, when that's ready, that's going to be showcased everywhere. You don't have to really wait for the DC Fandome event to get details for that. There's news all over the place regarding that. Now, my interest nonetheless, even though I said, there's so many things I don't necessarily care about, is with Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I have one major expectation because this raises a lot of questions for me, because right now, in looking at a lot of the details and looking at a lot of the news, because of the longevity of quietness from the studio, it's kind of hard to piece together the puzzles that tell us exactly the game structure in terms of Gotham Knights. Let's just focus on Gotham Knights for this particular discussion in this video. Now, I remember when the first Fandome event came and they revealed this particular trailer that you're watching, Patrick Redding said and mentioned something along the lines of this particular aspect of the gameplay somewhere around, I think he said 12 hours into Batgirl's storyline. So this is basically what I got, that you have storylines for the different knights. Each of them have their progression. That's basically what I got from there. And then I've read some other articles where, he lightly mentions how the different knights are going to have their own structure, but there is not a lot of clarity, except maybe somehow in the fog, I've forgotten what all this is going to look like once the game, is released or revealed. So what I think the most important thing for DC Fandome event will probably be for the audience is having them pretty much explain and clarify exactly how this game's progression is going to go, especially for the player base, because this is a very big deal, especially with the multiplayer side, which there are some people who actually don't want to touch the multiplayer, which I definitely understand. And then there are people who, have said they would actually play the multiplayer if it's done very well. So one of the questions that we want to, that we want answered at least is how this is going to work. I mean, if you're running around, is it something where you can just, in the middle of a mission, you could just say, you know what, why don't I switch to stinking Nightwing and play this mission structure, or what is the impact or importance that it's Batgirl that's playing it? Are these things going to weigh into the story, or is it going to be one of these, hop in there with your favorite knight and then just go, do damage or do whatever it is you want to do? Not saying one is better than the other, just saying it'll be nice for us to know exactly how that structure works from a gameplay perspective. Because as much as, there have been some descriptions and some whisperings as to how this is going to be structured, I still have to confess and admit that it doesn't really do justice other than seeing how it logistically plays out, if you get what I mean. So that's a very interesting part that we have to pay very close attention to. And then again, one thing that really does make a lot of sense too is the structure of, this superhero game as compared to the last two superhero games that we've been able to get through in the market. And somebody made a comment the other day and said, DC is far superior in terms of the games that they've produced, and Marvel could never produce anything close. And I thought that was a very funny sentiment, because as a DC fan, even I will never, as a Batman fan, I would never say anything like that, because that is the kind of hubris that gets you kicked out of the market share. I mean, and I think sometimes I have to check us DC fans, and it's a little inconvenient because I'm going to get a lot of pushback, but you know what? One of the things that I've seen about competition is, at some point you are the top dog, but that doesn't last very long, because, if you think about the way Warner Brothers and DC games have actually approached their entire gaming messaging and their gaming, platform releases, all of these things, it is nowhere near the way just one company under the Marvel flagship has actually taken things and done things, and that's Insomniac. They've done such a very good job that right now I think that they are in the line up to taking the superior gameplay mechanics from Rocksteady if Rocksteady is not able to deliver, because just the way Sony has been, leveraging them for far greater purpose than it seems Warner Brothers and DC wants to use Rocksteady, it just appears to me that they have something very special. I'm not declaring them the kings yet, but it's probably not going to be too far off. And if you think about all of these things, you think about what DC Fandom event and the opportunities are, that if, Warner Brothers and DC games don't cut it, it just really puts them at a very huge disadvantage. Now, again, like I said, this is not something that I want to go ahead and declare Insomniac the winner, but if you kind of think about it, what is Insomniac's role? How big is that role? Who's backing them, and what is the force with which they're backing them? It's a very simple premise. Insomniac is the PlayStation console seller of Sony, in a sense. Literally, they are a huge portion to selling consoles for this huge, ginormous corporation. So you can bet it that they're going to be throwing a lot of weight behind this company, this development firm. And this development firm is going to be getting everything they need to fight, or at least make the impression that they need to make to be able to push out consoles out there. And so that really, if that doesn't send a signal, then, I don't know what else does. But I guess it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. But this is not something that's rocket science. So back to Gotham Knights, I think because of market factors like this, which is something that's very important, and I know many people here on the Video Game Fight School channel will agree with me. Some may say, well, not everything is about the market factor. It is. Just watch and see. We're about to, see some really strong, I would say iterations and competitions coming out. Another thing, too, is, we can't forget that Insomniac is not only sitting on one major superhero game, but two. And again, yes, I can understand the sentiment where someone may say, oh, Marvel doesn't necessarily have a lot of superior development going on. And that's the truth. Right now, it's who's got the money. And we see Square Enix taking all these Marvel IPs and they're looking really bland. So, you just have to kind of cover your eyes away from what Square Enix is trying to do. But you just have to recognize that if you are talking serious game development in the Marvel universe, it is Insomniac right now that's actually holding a lot of the cards. And I think they're very, very capable of tackling even Rocksteady and what Warner Brothers Montreal is doing, because we have more details, we have more proof of their capabilities. Not only have they been doing superhero games, they've also been working on other games. They worked on Ratchet and Clank in the middle of all of this. If you think about it, in the middle of the pandemic and everything, they're shipping games, and we've had Warner Brothers Games Montreal and Rocksteady basically under the leadership of Warner Brothers Entertainment and all of their shenanigans and their mergers with AT&T, and it seems like they're just a little unserious from a business perspective. And I'm not saying it's Rocksteady or Warner Brothers Montreal's fault. I'm just saying they don't seem to have the backing and the leadership that's setting them up for success. And so with the DC Fandom event, it really does provide an opportunity. And that's why I said, a lot of the things that DC seems to be, paying a lot of attention to doesn't necessarily seem to align with what a lot of the, its gaming audience is facing in terms of, okay, what is our focus on? So I think there's a huge opportunity for them right now with the event. A lot of people are going to be there. People are anticipating it. And I think they just need to make sure that when they're presenting all of their data and all their details and all their, hype, whatever, that they at least make sure that the fans for this particular game, which is Gotham Knights, have the information that they need, as well as even the Suicide Squad game. I hope that they also make sure that we have, some beneficial information as well. But these are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours in the comment section. Talk to me. Peace out.